Hello students, we will discuss a few points related to operating system. So here in this video we will discuss about deadlocks, swapping, contiguous memory allocation, paging, segmentation, demand paging, page replacement and allocation of frames. Now let us discuss about deadlocks. Here are the few points you have to remember. Deadlock means what happens when a process wants to acquire a resource. That resource may be uh, held by some other processes. So the process which is requesting a resource may not get that resource at all. So such a condition we call it as a deadlock. There are four necessary conditions for a deadlock to occur. They are mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, and circular wait. So you have to remember all these 4 points. These four are necessary conditions for a deadlock to occur. We will tell the system is under deadlock only when the system satisfies all these four conditions. Now, there is another graph called resource allocation graph. By drawing this resource allocation graph, we can tell that whether the system is in deadlock or not. If a resource allocation graph does not have a cycle, then the system is not in a deadlocked state. If there is a cycle, then the system may or may not be in a deadlocked state. So you have to draw a resource allocation graph. We know what is resource allocation graph. You might have learned this. And this resource allocation graph, by seeing the graph, if there is a cycle, okay, then the system may or may not be in a deadlocked state. Now, there are various methods for handling deadlocks. We have to use some protocols to handle the deadlocks or allow the system to enter into deadlock, detect it and recover, or ignore the problem. Now, deadlock avoidance algorithms. Here we will discuss two algorithms: resource allocation graph algorithm and Banker's algorithm. So resource allocation graph algorithm, by seeing that graph, we can tell that whether the system is in deadlock or not. And the another one is Banker's algorithm. In the Banker's algorithm, the system must give a priori information about the number of resources it requires, it may require in future. By seeing that, by applying the Banker's algorithm, we can tell that system whether the system enters into deadlock or not. Now we will discuss a few multiple choice questions on deadlocks. A process said to be in dash state if it was waiting for an event that will never occur. Please read the question once again. A process said to be in dash state if it was waiting for an event that will never occur. Right? That means a process is waiting for an event. Okay. For example, a process wants to use some resource. It will not get that resource at all. Then this condition is called what? There are four options here: safe, unsafe, starvation, and deadlock. So the answer is D, that is deadlock. That means a process is waiting for an event and that will never occur. Okay? And this condition we call it as deadlock. The second one is, in one of the deadlock prevention methods, impose a total ordering of all resource types and require that each process requests resources in an increasing order of enumeration. This violates the dash condition of deadlock. There are various circular in one of all resource types. That means the which and all the resources
Hello, good morning everyone. This is Dr. Sanjeev Sanakki. I'll be giving some overview on the diploma CET questions, which will be probably very helpful for all the students who are trying to appear for the diploma CET examination. I have prepared some list of multiple choice questions which will definitely help you, which we can consider as the most important questions, most likely questions from your CET examination point of view. And I'm sure that this will definitely help you in understanding the pattern as well as the depth of the multiple choice questions on operating systems. Let us start with some basic questions, that is starting from what is a process. So generally they'll give you questions on the first chapters, that is fundamental chapters. The students can get confused that process might be a program in high level language or some content in the main memory, etc., etc. But according to me, process is a program in execution. So whenever a thread executes, a process executes in the form of program, we call it as a process. Okay. And generally sometimes they ask question on creating the process. Fork is the creation of new process. Students should not get confused with fork is for dispatching of a task or increasing the priority of the task, etc. The next question that is very important is what is bug in operating system. Okay, we call it as error, but it is not a difficult syntax error in program. It's a logical error in a program. Students should not get confused with the difficult syntax error or documents programs using an efficient tool. No, logical error is called as a bug. And generally there is different way of defining the operating system. Based on that, some questions can be asked whether that what you are defining is a working system or peripheral system or controlling system or operating system. So what is the name given to the organized collection of software that controls the overall operation of a computer? That is the operating system. There are different scheduling algorithms like FCFS is there, round robin is there, SJF is there. So based on that, you may expect some questions. It is with respect to round robin scheduling algorithm, wherein we define a small quantum slice, which is called as time quantum. Uh, for that duration of the quantum size, there will be allocation of the CPU to the process. So there will be many processes requesting for the resource like CPU, but how actually the CPU is allocated to the requesting process depends on the type of the algorithm, scheduling algorithm that is used. But this kind of approach using some quantum quantum is adopted in round robin scheduling algorithm. There is another algorithm called first in first out. Okay, it's very simple. The first in first out algorithm takes care of executing first job that has entered the job queue first. And of course, in order to manage the space on the main memory, we come across saving the main memory, because we have limited size of the main memory compared to the secondary memory. Sometimes we need to swap out the unused processes from the main memory and swap in on demand some processes or some programs from the secondary memory to main memory. So this process of swapping in swapping out will effectively manage the space on the main memory, that is RAM. So based on this, some questions are expected. There is some concept called as thrashing. Is thrashing is related to natural consequence of virtual memory system, or is this thrashing can always be avoided by swapping? Is this thrashing always occur in large computers, or is this thrashing can be caused by poor paging algorithms? Yes, thrashing is caused by poor paging algorithms. Some algorithms will fail to manage the pages uh, to swap in, swap out. When some page is in demand, sometimes it is not available for execution. That is called as page fault. So thrashing is a concept which can be caused by poor paging activities. Okay, and what sometimes they ask you how you can avoid this thrashing phenomena. So that is the answer for this is the pages belonging to the working set of programs are in main memory. Okay, you should not get confused with thrashing can be avoided with the speed of the CPU or speed of IO devices, etc. Mainly thrashing can be avoided by the pages belonging to the working set of the programs are in the main memory. Okay, what is a page fault? There can be a question on this. Page fault is not an error in a specific page, or a page fault is not an error that occurs when a program accesses a page of memory. Page fault is nothing but an access to a page not currently in the main memory. There is a demand for that page, but that page is not loaded in the main memory. That is called as a page fault. So the number of page faults will degrade the performance. As the number of page faults increase, uh, there will be less performance as far as the execution is concerned, because most CPU finds or spares most of its time is finding that page, searching that page in the main memory. The LRU algorithm is one of the page replacement algorithms, as their name suggests, least recently used page. Okay, there can be a question on this LRU, that is pages out pages that have been least recently used in the past. So you have to take care of this concept and decide the page replacement algorithm like least recently used. Okay, so there can be a question like what problem is solved by Bakker's algorithm. So there are many problems as far as multiple or concurrent execution of the program is concerned. Mutual exclusion, deadlock recovery, deadlock avoidance, cache coherency. So basically Banker's algorithm is used for deadlock avoidance. To avoid the race condition, the number of processes that may be simultaneously inside the critical section is 8, 1, 16 or 0. The answer for this is 1, because critical section is such a section wherein two threads are trying to access the same variable, update or write onto the same variable, so that should not be allowed. There has to be mutual exclusion when process on the critical section. So only one process is allowed in the critical section to avoid the race condition. Generally for this CPU scheduling, we need to remember this diagram. Remember, there is a job queue, which are the jobs which are ready, the need of CPU, they will be in the job queue, and ready queue, you will take the processes jobs from the job queue and put it in the ready queue. And there is a CPU scheduler, the short term scheduler, which will pick the process waiting for the CPU and allocate the CPU. It uses the CPU and completes the task and return back the CPU, or it uses the CPU and when it needs to do some IO, it will go and wait in the IO waiting queue, and once it gets the IO device, it will complete the IO and again comes back to ready queue waiting for the CPU usage turn again. This concept or this flow should be there, very clear. Then only you can understand the role of these schedulers. So as we can see that the long-term scheduler is responsible for selecting the job from job queue to ready queue. So once the process is ready to run, it is put in the ready queue, and once it is put in the ready queue, short-term scheduler based on some criteria will select the process from the ready queue and allocate the CPU. Using that CPU, the process completes its computation and comes out of the system. So this scenario should be very clear, very firm in your mind in order to understand the different roles of the CPU scheduling softwares. Okay, the scheduler selects a process from the process in a memory that are ready to execute and allocates the CPU to the process. As we have seen, the answer is short-term scheduler. Okay, there can be one more question like which of the following scheduling algorithm gives minimum average waiting time? So that different timing calculations, what is turnaround time, the time spent between the completion and start of the program is turnaround time, and the waiting time is the time spent by the process for waiting for an IO device or waiting for the CPU. So there are many scheduling algorithms proposed like FIFO, round robin, SJF, priority, etc. But out of these four algorithms, SJF, shortest job first, is the best algorithm that has minimum average waiting time for the process. Next, you might expect some question like indefinite blocking problem in priority scheduling algorithm is called. So whenever we are scheduling CPU to the process, there is a priority. Some priorities already assigned, pre-assigned priorities there, but there is a indefinite blocking problem. That situation in that priority scheduling algorithm is called as the starvation. It's not the preemption or aging. So preemption is nothing but taking CPU from the process. Okay, starvation is the correct answer. Increase in the priority of any process to overcome starvation problem of priority algorithm is called. So sometimes when we see some process that it is quite often again going into starvation, so we need to take care of this process. So we attach aging. So sometimes if it has gone 2-3 times for the starvation, then its priority is increased so that next time it is not a targeted process for the starvation. So increasing the priority in order not to make it to undergo for starvation again is the technique called as the aging. Okay, so there can be one question like which scheduling algorithm allocates the CPU first to process that request the CPU first. So, of course, first come, first serve, that is first in, first out scheduling algorithm. Okay, and there can be question on round robin scheduling algorithm. Uh, the round robin scheduling algorithm falls under the category of non-preemptive scheduling, preemptive scheduling. As I said, non-preemptive, that is unless until you complete the task, the CPU is not taken back from that process. But in preemptive scheduling, the process is interrupted and CPU is taken back from that process. So round robin falls under this category, that is preemptive scheduling. Moving on, the next question could be the processes that are residing in main memory and are ready and waiting to execute are kept on a list called. Yes, they are in the main memory and are ready to execute. They are ready with all the necessary things but only need CPU. They should be kept in job queue, new queue, ready queue, execution queue. No, it should be ready queue. They are ready to execute, hence they should be kept into the ready queue. So this is the answer. In priority scheduling, when a process arrives at the ready queue, its priority is compared with the priority of whether all the processes, parent process, currently running process, or init process. So its priority is always compared with the current running process, not with all the processes. Scheduling is used to increase CPU utilization for computation, making proper use of processor. Yeah, as we know that the most important and most expensive component in the computer hardware is the processor. So the answer for scheduling is both A and B. It is used to increase the CPU utilization and making proper use of the processor. Okay. The next question is, in the time sharing operating system, when the time slot given to process is completed, the process goes from the running state to ready state. That's what we saw in the diagram. NTFS stands for, yeah, that is network. There is a operating system called as Windows which use NTFS, and the full form for NTFS, new for type file system, new technology file system, new table file system. None of this. The right answer is new technology file system. DMA stands for, DMA, is it data memory access, durable memory access, or data mass access? No, it's the direct memory access. Sometimes they ask questions on some basic full forms. Okay. Next, turnaround time is the total waiting time for a process to finish execution is the turnaround time? No. Is the total time spent in the ready queue is the turnaround time? No. The total time till the completion from the submission of a process, that is time gap between completion and submission of the process, is nothing but the turnaround time. Next, the interval from the time of submission of a process to the time of first response produced is termed as, is it a waiting time, turnaround time, response time, or throughput time? Okay, this is the time taken to respond, so it's called as the response time, not the other timings. Okay, and in the basics we come across one concept, that is PCB. PCB stands for process control block, not for program control block or not program control board or process control board. Okay, basically this PCB contains all the related information about the process. What is the state of the process, what is the process number, what is the program counter of that process, and what are the registers that are available in the process. Okay, basically it's a data structure to store the entire information about a process. Okay, next, it's a situation where the set of processes are blocked because each process is holding a resource and waiting for another process held by some other process, and this situation is nothing but the deadlock. Okay, when many processes compete for a limited resource, we come across such situation. That such situation is nothing but the deadlock. It is not the starvation, it is not the segmentation or paging. The correct answer is deadlock. In resource request algorithm, which condition is checked to avoid deadlock? There are different conditions. Whether request is less than or equal to need, or request is less than or equal to available, or both, or none of these. Yes, in RR algorithm, resource request should be less than or equal to need, as well as request should be less than or equal to available. Then only the deadlock can be avoided. Which are the necessary conditions of deadlock? There are, in fact, more important concepts. There are mutual exclusion, that is only one process can have access to a variable, and hold and wait, one process is holding one resource, important resource, and waiting for another important resource. No preemption, process don't want any preemption. Or circular wait, one process is waiting for the resource to be released by another process, but that process is in turn waiting for another process to get the resource. So under such situations we come across the deadlock. So these are the necessary conditions of deadlock. All four are the necessary conditions of deadlock. Okay, if one of them is not satisfied, it is not called as deadlock. Resources are allocated to a process on the shareable basis is nothing but hold and wait, mutual exclusion, circular wait, no preemption. Yes, it is obviously mutual exclusion. As per this, only one process will have access to a critical section, so that they will share the resources. Coming to some memory related questions. Virtual memory is it an illusion of extremely large main memory, or is it a large main memory itself, or a large secondary memory? None of this. It's an illusion of extremely large main memory. So we have divided that virtual memory into pages or into the some segments. Okay, so but it is an illusion of extremely large memory. It is not available, but it is an illusion. The mechanism that bring page into main memory only when it is needed is called as demand paging, swapping, paging, segmentation. So on demand you are getting some needed page, that is nothing but the demand paging. Okay, page replacement is done under many request circumstances, whether the answer is when the requested page is not found in the main memory, when the requested page is not found in the secondary memory, when the requested page is found in the main memory, requested page is found in the secondary memory. No, the correct answer is when the requested page is not found in the main memory, that is on the RAM, then there is some effort made by the operating system to locate that page and get that page by replacing some page in the main memory. Is nothing but the page replacement. Address location in main memory is referred to as logical address, physical address, static address, block associative. Always the address location in the main memory is physical address. Virtual memory is commonly implemented by segmentation, swapping, demand paging, none of the above. The correct answer is demand paging. The operating system maintains page table for what? For the page table is maintained. Page number and the frame number is the structure of the page table. So what for this page table is maintained? Is it maintained to understand or identify each process, each program, each page or each frame? Yeah, it is maintained in order to understand each process. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Which one of the following is the address generated by CPU? What kind of address is generated by CPU? Physical address, absolute address, logical address, none of this. The right answer is the logical address. CPU will not generate the physical address. Logical address is generated after some manipulation. The address is located on the RAM. In which page replacement algorithm the oldest page is chosen to replace from main memory? Okay, what is that algorithm in which oldest page is chosen to replace the main memory? How do you understand that is oldest page? Is it page optimal replacement algorithm, or is it first in first out? Is it LRU algorithm? The correct answer is the first in first out page replacement algorithm will identify the oldest page and will replace that. The page fault rate may increase as the number of allocated frames increase, is called Baladi's anomaly, thrashing, paging, none of these. So as we have seen previously, repeated paging activity, frequency of paging activity, high frequency of paging activity is nothing but the thrashing, but the page fault rate may increase as the number of allocated frames increases, is nothing but Baladi's anomaly. The page replacement algorithm that replace the page that will not be used for the longest period of time, this concept is utilized in optimal page replacement algorithm. The page replacement algorithm that replace the page that has not been used for the longest period of time is the, as I said, it is the optimal page replacement algorithm. Next question is, you can see there is a graph of CPU utilization versus degree of multiprogramming. As you go on increasing the degree of multiprogramming, the CPU utilization increases. After a certain point, the degree of multiprogramming is increased, the CPU utilization decreases. That duration where the degree of multiprogramming increased, as a result the CPU utilization is decreased, it is called as the thrashing. So it is a situation when the system is spending a major portion of its time in servicing the page fault rather than executing the process. The answer is thrashing. Which of the following is a data structure maintained by job scheduler software? Okay, the right answer is job queue. Number of processes completed per unit time is called as, is it the waiting time, response time, turnaround time? No, throughput. Throughput is the metric or the measure which measures the work done per unit time. So number of processes completed per unit time is nothing but the throughput. This is used to create a new process which becomes child process of the caller. So as we have discussed, basically it is a fork system call. It's not the thread cancellation or mutual exclusion. Which of the following is a program that prevents simultaneous access to shared resource. As we said, there should be mutual exclusion as far as the shared resource is concerned. So the right answer is mutual exclusion, not the other options like thread cancellation, signal handling, system call, etc. Which of the following is the time difference between turnaround time and burst time? Yeah, usually we write the waiting time is equal to turnaround time minus burst time. The correct answer is waiting time. Which of the following is the time required by a process for CPU execution? Burst time is the correct answer. Which of the following is also known as a CPU scheduler? Long term scheduler, short term scheduler, medium term scheduler, both A and B. It is the short term scheduler. Just now we have seen in the diagram that short term scheduler is responsible for taking a job from the ready queue and allocating the CPU. Okay. It provides interface between the process and the operating system. What is an interface between the process and the OS? Is the system. Operating system is the interface between the user and the hardware. Similarly, system call is the interface between the process and the operating system. Long-term scheduler is a CPU scheduler, process swapping scheduler, job scheduler, none of these. Long-term scheduler is a job scheduler. It is a system call that causes the caller to block. Which system call causes the caller to block? Is it a wait or a sleep or wake up? None of the. The correct answer is the sleep system call. A table that contains the base address of each page in physical memory is called page table, frame table, memory table. None of the above. Correct answer is the page table. As I said, the page table is having two informations, the page number and the frame number, so that it is easy for the user to identify the location of the page in the main memory. The main memory is divided into frames and the secondary memory is divided into pages. Then the mapping is done in order to allocate the pages. Process control block is also called as program control block, memory control block, task control block. Process control block is also called as the task control block. It is the process of switching of CPU from one thread to another. Is it process thread handling, interrupt handling, context switching? Yes. When you take CPU from one process and give it to another process, that is called as context switching. The right answer is context switching. That is taking CPU from one process and giving it to another process of another thread. It is a technique used to speed up communication with slow devices. Which is the technique used to speed up the communication with slow devices? Is it fragmentation, caching, segmentation? Yeah, it's of course the caching. It holds the address of the next instruction to be executed. Is it accumulator, stack pointer, status pointer, program counter? It is the program counter. Program counter is responsible for holding the address of the next instruction to be executed. Which of the following technique is used to convert a blocking system call into a non-blocking system call? Segmentation, jacketing, fragmentation. The correct answer is jacketing. Okay, hope the these questions are clear, and hope these questions will be very helpful for all of you in order to face your diploma CET examination. Wishing you all the best. I'm closing my session. Thank you.